The night cycle on Aurelian Ring was quieter than most people imagined space stations could ever be. During the day, the station sounded like a crowded city, boots striking metal floors, translators buzzing in 20 languages, cargo haulers rumbling through docking corridors. But at night the sounds faded, leaving behind only the deep mechanical breathing of the station itself. Liam preferred the night. His cart rolled slowly along the polished corridor, its small wheels clicking softly against the floor panels. A bucket of cleaning solution sloshed gently every few steps. Somewhere far above, the massive gravity stabilizers hummed like distant thunder. Liam tilted his head slightly, listening to the station's endless mechanical symphony. Docking Bay 3 just welcomed a cargo ship, he muttered quietly to himself. The faint vibration had traveled through the floor a few seconds earlier. Most people wouldn't have noticed it. Liam always did. He moved the mop across the metal floor with slow, careful strokes. The corridor was long and curved slightly along the station's outer ring. Large observation windows lined one side, revealing the endless darkness of space and the scattered lights of distant ships. Liam had never seen any of it, but he knew the corridor well enough to walk it in perfect lines. "All right," he said to the floor, as if the station itself could hear him. "Let's make you shiny enough that some diplomat slips and sues the maintenance department." The station answered with silence. Then came footsteps, heavy ones. Not the hurried walk of a late officer, not the quiet glide of a technician. These steps were slow, measured. Each one carried a metallic undertone, like reinforced boots pressing against the deck. Liam paused the mop for a moment, listening carefully. He murmured. The footsteps continued down the corridor. Whoever it was wasn't trying to hide their presence. The rhythm of the steps was confident, almost deliberate. Liam could also hear something else, a faint electrical hum layered beneath the movement. Cybernetics, probably. Military grade by the sound of it. He shrugged slightly and resumed mopping. A few seconds later, the footsteps stopped directly in front of him. Liam dipped the mop back into the bucket. "Well," he said casually, "either you're standing in the cleanest part of the floor or the dirtiest. I haven't decided yet." Silence. The presence didn't move. Liam tilted his head politely toward the sound of breathing. "Would you mind shifting a step to the left?" he asked calmly. "There's a stubborn stain here that's beginning to believe it owns the corridor." The silence stretched longer. Somewhere behind the towering figure in front of him, the station lights buzzed softly. Finally, a voice spoke, low, calm, and carrying the quiet weight of someone used to command. "Do you know who you are speaking to, human?" Liam leaned slightly on the mop handle. "Someone standing between me and my heroic battle against floor grime." Another pause followed. The air felt heavier somehow, though Liam couldn't see the tall figure now staring down at him. "My name is Commander Drix." The name hung in the air like a warning. Even people who rarely followed military news on Aurelian Ring had heard that name whispered in cautious tones. Entire security divisions grew nervous when Commander Drix arrived on the station. Rumors spoke of scars, cybernetic implants, and battlefield victories that left enemy fleets in silent debris fields. Liam nodded politely. "Nice to meet you, Commander Drix." He gently pushed the mop forward. "And if you take exactly one step to your left, we can both survive this cleaning operation." The commander did not move. "Humans," she said slowly, "usually react differently when they meet me." "Well," Liam replied thoughtfully, "most humans also react differently to cleaning supplies. I suspect we're all a little unpredictable." A faint metallic shift echoed as the commander finally stepped aside. "Thank you," Liam said cheerfully. The mop glided across the floor where she had been standing. Commander Drix remained still, watching him. "You're not afraid?" "Should I be?" "I am told my presence is unsettling." Liam chuckled softly. "Commander, the only unsettling thing in this corridor tonight is whatever spilled near panel 12. Smells like fermented algae soup." Another pause followed. Then unexpectedly, the commander spoke again. "You did not even hesitate when I spoke." "Of course not," Liam said. He wrung the mop slowly. "If I hesitated every time someone talked to me on this station, I'd still be cleaning last Tuesday." The commander's breathing shifted slightly. "You know my reputation." "Vaguely. And it does not concern you?" Liam tilted his head, thinking. Well, he said, if your reputation starts leaving muddy footprints across my corridor, then we'll have a serious problem. For a moment, the corridor was completely silent. Then something unexpected happened. Commander Drix let out a quiet sound. It wasn't quite a laugh, but it was close. Liam heard it instantly. Ah, he said with satisfaction. Good. That means you're not a robot. I have been accused of worse things. I once spilled 3 liters of disinfectant on a diplomatic ambassador, Liam said proudly. Trust me, reputations recover. The commander remained standing beside him as he continued mopping. She didn't leave. After several seconds, she asked another question. Human, why are you so calm? Liam rinsed the mop again and shrugged lightly. Because the corridor is quiet, the floor is cooperative tonight, and someone with very impressive boots is patiently letting me finish my work. He paused. And also because your voice doesn't sound like someone planning to throw me out of an airlock. Another long silence followed. Commander Drix did not realize it yet, but this strange human janitor had already done something no soldier, diplomat, or officer on Aurelian Ring had ever managed. He had spoken to her for several minutes, without trembling even once. The corridor was quiet again, but Commander Drix had not moved. Most beings on Aurelian Ring would have taken the first opportunity to escape an encounter with her. Soldiers usually stepped aside quickly. Diplomats pretended they suddenly remembered urgent meetings, and station guards often stood straighter than their armor allowed. Yet the human janitor beside her continued pushing his mop back and forth with the calm patience of someone polishing a museum floor. The soft scrape of the mop filled the silence. Drix folded her arms slowly. You are still not afraid. Liam rinsed the mop in the bucket and replied casually, Commander, the only thing I fear right now is slipping on my own cleaning solution. That would be extremely embarrassing. You speak very freely. I speak very carefully, Liam corrected. If I spoke freely, I'd probably complain about how maintenance keeps giving me the cheap detergent. Drix watched him. The human's movements were precise. He walked carefully, measuring each step as if the corridor were mapped inside his mind. Most people tremble when they see me. Liam tilted his head thoughtfully. Well, that seems inefficient. Inefficient? Yes. Trembling wastes energy. If you're going to panic, you should at least do it productively. Drix stared at him. Productively? Sure, Liam continued while mopping a corner. Run in circles, scream dramatically, maybe faint. Trembling just looks uncomfortable. The silence that followed was long. Then something strange happened again. A faint sound escaped Drix's throat. This time it was unmistakably a quiet laugh. She cleared it quickly, as if surprised by herself. You are an unusual human. I've been told worse things by station supervisors. Drix slowly walked a few steps along the corridor, her heavy boots echoing against the metal floor. The sound carried the subtle mechanical undertone of integrated combat augments. Liam noticed immediately. Those boots must be military grade. Drix stopped. You can tell that? They weigh about 30 kilos each. That is correct. Also, Liam added casually, your right step is slightly heavier. Drix's head turned toward him. My right leg contains a reinforced plating. Thought so. You detected that from footsteps. Footsteps tell you many things, Liam replied. He pushed the cart forward a few centimeters. Cargo haulers stomp. Diplomats glide. Security officers pretend they don't run. And warriors? Liam thought for a moment. Warriors walk like the floor belongs to them. Drix considered that quietly. You sound like a philosopher. No, Liam said. I sound like someone who cleans floors for 12 hours a night. The commander leaned lightly against the wall. You knew I was not station personnel. Correct. How? You didn't sigh. Drix blinked. Maintenance workers sigh constantly, Liam explained. Technicians sigh. Administrators sigh. You didn't. And that means? You're either military or extremely confident. Drix crossed her arms again. I am both. That explains the boots? A transport vessel passed somewhere outside the station hall. The corridor vibrated faintly. Liam paused. Freighter-class vessel, he said. Heavy cargo. Drix listened. How did you know that? The station complains when big ships dock. The station complains. Well, vibrates politely. Drix studied him again. The janitor continued mopping, as if speaking with a feared galactic commander was a completely normal part of his shift. You are very calm, she said again. You already mentioned that. And you have not asked about my scars. Should I? Most beings do. Well, Liam said thoughtfully, I've met enough people to know scars usually come with long stories. That is true. And I'm currently on cleaning duty. So? So if you start telling the full story of your battle career, I'll be late finishing Corridor 17. Drix slowly shook her head. You are joking with me. I joke with everyone. Even dangerous people. Especially dangerous people, Liam replied. That seems unwise. It keeps things interesting. Drix stepped closer again. Her shadow fell across him, though he didn't react. Human, she said quietly. Yes, Commander? You still have not answered my question. Which one? Why are you not trembling? Liam leaned on the mop handle for a moment. Commander, he said slowly, do you want the honest answer or the polite one? The honest one. Well, he thought for a second, I don't see a reason to tremble. You stand before a warrior feared across multiple systems? That sounds impressive. It should. Still doesn't help with the floor stain. Drix stared at him again. You truly do not understand your situation. I understand it perfectly, Liam said calmly. He pushed the mop across the floor once more. I'm a janitor working the night shift, and you're standing exactly where the dirtiest part of the corridor used to be. Another quiet laugh escaped her before she could stop it. For someone who had commanded fleets in battle, the moment felt strangely disarming. After a while, she spoke again. You work every night in this corridor? Usually. Why here? Because it's quiet. And because people rarely walk here. Drix glanced down the long empty corridor. Yes, she said slowly. That makes sense. The janitor wrung the mop again. Commander? Yes? You're still standing in the clean area. That is a problem? Well, Liam said cheerfully, if you keep standing there, people might start thinking you work in maintenance. For the third time that night, the feared alien commander found herself laughing quietly in an empty corridor, and for reasons she could not yet explain, she did not leave. The next night's cycle began much like the previous one. The corridor was empty, the station humming quietly through the walls, and Liam pushed his cleaning cart forward with the same slow patience he always had. The wheels clicked gently against the metal floor panels as he counted his steps. 28, 29, 30, he murmured. Panel 30 always squeaked a little when someone stepped on it. Maintenance had promised to fix it for 3 months. They had not. Liam tapped the floor lightly with the mop handle. Still squeaky, he said with disappointment. You're ruining my perfect corridor. He dipped the mop into the bucket. A few minutes passed. Then he heard it. Heavy footsteps, measured, metallic undertones beneath reinforced boots. Liam smiled faintly. Well, he said to the empty hallway, either the station installed dramatic background music or my favorite intimidating visitor has returned. The footsteps stopped several meters away. You expected me? Liam shrugged lightly. Your boots have a very recognizable personality. Commander Drix stepped closer. And what personality do my boots have? Confident, Liam replied immediately. Also slightly annoyed. I was not aware boots could be annoyed. These ones definitely are. The commander stopped beside him. You speak as if we are acquaintances. Are we not? Liam asked. We spoke once. That's how acquaintances usually start. The mop glided across the floor again. Drix crossed her arms. You are still working this corridor. Unless someone promotes me to Supreme Galactic Floor Commander, yes. That position does not exist. Give the station council time. A faint hum of energy passed through the corridor as the gravity stabilizers recalibrated. The floor vibrated softly beneath their feet. Drix noticed Liam tilt his head again. You listen to the station constantly, she said. It talks a lot. It does not speak. It absolutely does, Liam replied. You just have to listen politely. What is it saying now? Docking clamp 3 is struggling. That is impossible. Give it 30 seconds. Drix remained silent. 20 seconds passed. Then a distant metallic clang echoed faintly through the hull. The docking clamps locked into place with a heavy mechanical snap. Drix slowly turned her head toward Liam. You predicted that. I told you, he said calmly. The station complains. The commander studied him with growing curiosity. You are unusual. Fourth time tonight someone has said that. I did not say it 4 times. No, Liam replied, but the corridor did. The mop continued sliding across the metal floor. For several moments, neither of them spoke. Then Drix said quietly, humans avoid me. Humans avoid many things. Like what? Taxes. Drix paused. What are taxes? You're lucky you don't know. I command military fleets. Trust me, Liam said seriously. Taxes are worse. Another quiet laugh escaped her. It surprised her again. She leaned slightly against the wall. You are not curious about me. I'm curious about many things. Such as? Well, Liam said thoughtfully, I'm curious why a powerful commander keeps visiting a corridor that smells like industrial detergent. Drix did not answer immediately. Instead, she asked, what do you think I look like? Liam stopped mopping. That's a dangerous question. Why? If I guess wrong, you might be offended. I will not be offended. You promise? Yes. Liam leaned on the mop handle, thinking carefully. Tall. That is correct. Military posture. Yes. Armor. Yes. Probably a lot of scars. Drix went still. How did you know that? Warriors usually collect them. Anything else? Liam tilted his head slightly toward her voice. Your breathing is controlled, he said slowly, but sometimes there's tension in it. Tension. Like someone used to people reacting strongly when they see you. Drix said nothing. So, Liam continued casually, I assume you look very intimidating. You assume correctly. He dipped the mop into the bucket again. Well, that explains a lot. Explains what? Why everyone trembles. You are the only one who does not. Maybe I'm just stubborn. That is not the reason. Then maybe I'm brave. Drix studied him silently. You are not afraid because you do not understand what stands before you. Liam shrugged. That happens to me a lot. You are cleaning a corridor beside one of the most feared commanders in this sector. And yet the floor remains dirty. The commander shook her head slowly. You are impossible. Maintenance training. Drix watched him work for several seconds. Human. Yes? If you could see me, would you tremble? Liam considered the question carefully. Honestly? Yes. Well, he said with a soft grin, that depends. On what? On whether you stepped on the wet floor sign? For a moment, the corridor was completely silent. Then Commander Drix laughed. Not quietly this time. A real laugh. It echoed down the empty hallway, like something completely out of place in a station that usually feared her presence. And for reasons she still did not fully understand, she found herself looking forward to hearing what the janitor might say next. The corridor lights shifted slightly as the station entered the deeper phase of its night cycle. The artificial gravity stabilizers hummed with a steady rhythm beneath the floor panels, and Liam pushed his cart along the curved hallway as if he had been doing it for centuries. 47, 48, 49, he counted softly. Panel 49 always had a faint ridge where 2 metal plates met. His boot brushed it lightly every night. Still there, he said to the floor. Very rude of you. The cart stopped. He dipped the mop into the bucket, wrung it carefully, and began moving it across the floor again. The station was quiet. Then the familiar footsteps arrived. Heavy, precise, confident. Liam tilted his head. Good evening, Commander Boots. The footsteps paused. I do not recall authorizing that nickname. Well, Liam replied calmly, you never authorized the corridor to squeak either, but here we are. Commander Drix stepped closer. You recognize me immediately. You walk like someone who knows exactly where every door on the station leads. That is part of my duty. And the boots help. They are tactical combat boots. They sound expensive. They are. Try not to scuff my freshly clean floor with them. Drix stopped beside him again. You are remarkably bold for someone holding a mop. I prefer the term strategically confident. Strategically? Yes, if someone terrifying appears in my corridor, I confuse them with small talk. You believe you are confusing me? A little. The commander folded her arms. You are succeeding. Liam nodded proudly. Maintenance training. The mop slid across the metal floor with quiet precision. For a moment only the soft hum of the station filled the corridor. Then Drix spoke again. I asked about your courage yesterday. You did. You avoided answering. I answered honestly. You joked. That is how humans answer dangerous questions. Drix considered that. You truly do not feel fear when you stand near me. Well, Liam said thoughtfully, I did feel fear once. When? When the cafeteria served fermented algae soup. That is a standard nutrient dish. It tried to eat my spoon. Drix exhaled slowly through her nose. You are avoiding the question again. Fine, Liam said. He leaned on the mop handle for a moment. I don't tremble because I don't see anything to tremble at. The commander was silent. You do not see anything frightening? Nope. You are standing in front of a warrior whose appearance causes trained soldiers to freeze. That sounds dramatic. It is accurate. Liam dipped the mop again. Well, Commander, I believe you. You believe me? Yes. But you still do not react. Correct. Drix stepped closer. Human, look at me. Liam smiled faintly. I am. You are looking at the floor. I'm always looking at the floor. That is not what I meant. She waited. Liam stood quietly for a moment. Then he said something very calmly. Commander, I've been blind since I was 12. The words settled into the corridor like a sudden silence. Drix did not move. You cannot see. Nope. You have never seen me. Not once. The station hummed softly around them. You knew I was a warrior. Your boots weigh 30 kilos and your cybernetics hum like a shuttle engine. You knew I had scars. That was a guess. Drix stared at him. So when we first met, I just heard someone standing in my wet floor area. You truly had no idea who I was? Only that you were very tall and slightly intimidating. Slightly. Well, Liam said, your voice sounded polite. The commander remained silent for several seconds. You have spoken to me for 3 nights. Correct. And you never realized why everyone fears me. I assumed it was a personality issue. Drix blinked. A personality issue. Maybe you yell at people a lot. I do not yell. Then it must be the boots. For the first time since his revelation, Drix let out a quiet breath that almost sounded like disbelief. You have been speaking to me as if I were normal. Commander, Liam said gently. Everyone is normal when you can't see their scary parts. She did not answer. The station lights hummed softly overhead. Finally, she asked, Then what do you know about me? Liam shrugged lightly. You walk confidently. Yes. You stand very still when you listen. That is training. And your voice changes when you laugh. Drix paused. It does? Yeah. How? It gets lighter, Liam said, like someone who forgot they were supposed to be intimidating. The commander looked at him in complete silence. You really cannot see me. Nope. You cannot see the scars. No. The implants. No. The armor. No. Drix spoke slowly. Then what do you see when you speak to me? Liam thought about it. Well, he tapped the mop lightly against the floor. I hear someone with very expensive boots, extremely precise footsteps, and a voice that sounds like it's trying very hard not to laugh. The corridor remained silent for several seconds. Then Commander Drix said quietly, No one has ever described me like that before. Liam shrugged. Well, he said cheerfully, most people are busy trembling. The corridor felt different that night. Liam noticed it immediately. Not because of the lights, which hummed the same quiet rhythm as always. Not because of the station engines, which still vibrated faintly through the floor panels. No, the difference was in the footsteps. They arrived earlier than usual. Heavy boots approached from the far end of the corridor with the familiar metallic undertone of reinforced cybernetics. But the rhythm was slower, less rigid. Liam tilted his head slightly and smiled. Good evening, Commander Boots. The footsteps stopped several meters away. You continue to use that name. It's memorable. It is inaccurate. Your boots disagree. Drix stepped closer, her armor shifting softly with each movement. You knew I would come tonight. Well, Liam said while wringing the mop, 3 nights in a row is officially a pattern. That is not a pattern. 4 nights makes it a habit. I do not have habits. You are currently standing in one. Drix crossed her arms again. The sound of metal plates touching echoed faintly through the corridor. You seem very relaxed after revealing your condition. Blindness, Liam said casually. It's not contagious. That is not what I meant. Good, he replied. The station medical department already dislikes me. The mop glided slowly across the floor. For several moments, Drix said nothing. Then she spoke quietly. You truly cannot see anything. Nope. No shapes. Nope. No shadows. Just darkness. The station hummed around them. And yet you walk these corridors every night. I know them better than the station architects. You memorize them. Step by step. Drix looked down the long, curved hallway. How many steps are there from the cargo lift to this panel? 312. You counted. I tripped the first week, Liam said calmly. After that, I started counting. Drix almost smiled. You adapt well. Humans are stubborn creatures. That is becoming clear. The mop paused. Liam leaned on the handle slightly. Commander? Yes. You're standing on the clean part again. Drix did not move. You always tell me that. Because you always do it. Perhaps I enjoy standing here. That would make you the only person on the station who enjoys standing on freshly cleaned floors. Drix tilted her head slightly. Your cleaning skills are impressive. That may be the nicest insult I've ever received. It was not an insult. It sounded suspiciously like one. She walked a few slow steps beside him. You navigate this corridor perfectly. Practice. But earlier, you identified my cybernetics by sound. They hum slightly. Most beings cannot hear that. Most beings are busy looking at things. Drix considered that. You listen to the world differently. I listen because I have to. And because you want to. That too. He pushed the mop forward again. Also, you have a very distinct walking rhythm. What kind? The kind that makes security guards stand up straight when you pass. That happens often. I believe it. You truly never wondered why they react that way? I assumed you had terrible fashion sense. Drix blinked. My armor was forged by the military guild of Virex Prime. That explains it. Explains what? Very intimidating fashion. The commander shook her head slowly. You joke about everything. It helps people relax. I do not need help relaxing. Commander, Liam said gently, you've been standing in my corridor 4 nights in a row? Drix was silent. You also laugh more here than anywhere else on the station. That is speculation. I can hear it. Another quiet pause followed. Then she asked something unexpectedly soft. When you speak with me, what do you imagine? Imagine? You cannot see me. Your mind must form an image. Liam thought about it. Well, I imagine someone tall. That part is correct. Someone who walks like gravity politely moves out of the way? Drix said nothing. And someone who tries very hard to sound intimidating. I do not try. You succeed most of the time. Most of the time. But sometimes, Liam continued, your voice changes. How? It gets warmer. Drix looked at him again. That is not a warrior's voice. Sure it is. No. Commander, Liam said calmly, voices tell the truth faster than faces do. You believe that? I know that. The station vibrated faintly as another ship docked somewhere along the outer ring. Drix listened to the distant mechanical clang. You predicted the docking yesterday. The station warned me. You mean the vibration? Yes. You truly understand this place. I live here. The mop slid across the final section of the corridor. Liam rinsed it slowly. Commander? Yes. Can I ask you a question? You may. Why do you keep coming back? Drix did not answer immediately. For several seconds, only the hum of the station filled the corridor. Then she spoke quietly. Because you are the only person on this station who speaks to me without fear. Liam smiled faintly. Well, he said gently, That's easy. How? I don't know what I'm supposed to be afraid of. Another quiet laugh escaped her, and for the fifth night in a row, the most feared commander on Aurelian Ring remained standing in an empty corridor, talking with a janitor who could not see her at all. The corridor was already clean when Liam arrived that night. He stopped the cart. Suspicious, he muttered. He tapped the mop lightly against the floor as if the corridor itself had done something questionable. Either I've become incredibly efficient, he said thoughtfully, or someone cleaned my corridor without permission. The station hummed quietly. Liam leaned down, touching the floor with his fingertips. The surface was smooth. No detergent residue. No cleaning marks. All right, he said to the empty hallway. Who stole my job? Heavy footsteps answered the question. Liam straightened slowly. Ah, he said with quiet satisfaction. The boots. Commander Drix approached. You recognized me again. You walk like someone carrying several tons of combat equipment. That is close to accurate. Also, Liam added, you stopped 3 meters away to watch me inspect the floor. Drix folded her arms. You noticed that. I notice everything that makes noise. I made no noise. Your armor shifted. That is a very subtle sound. Not for someone who spends all night listening to air filters and cargo elevators. Drix stepped closer. You said something strange when you arrived. Many people say that. You asked who cleaned the corridor. Yes, I did. Liam blinked slowly. You cleaned it. Yes. You are a military commander. Yes. And you cleaned my corridor. Yes. Liam was quiet for a moment. Commander, he said carefully, did someone threaten you? No. Did you lose a bet? No. Are you trying to sabotage the maintenance department? Drix's voice remained calm. I wanted to understand what you do. You clean the corridor to understand janitorial work. Yes. Liam rubbed his forehead. This station is becoming very strange. You are the strange one. Fair. Drix gestured slightly toward the floor. I followed your method. You watched me. Yes. For how long? 3 nights. Liam nodded slowly. That explains why the detergent smell is slightly uneven. Drix stiffened. It is uneven. Panel 26, Liam said. You used too much solution. Drix looked at the floor. You can detect that. Commander, Liam replied gently. Cleaning floors is my battlefield. For the first time that night, she laughed immediately. You are proud of that. Very. Drix walked a slow circle around the cart. You spend hours doing this every night. Correct. Does it not become boring? Not really. Why not? Liam shrugged. The station is alive. It is machinery. It breathes. That is atmospheric circulation. Exactly. Drix tilted her head. You speak about machines like they are living things. They complain when cargo ships dock. You mean vibrations. They grumble when gravity stabilizers reset. That is engineering noise. They sigh when the night cycle begins. That is energy redistribution. Liam smiled faintly. You see? The station is very talkative. Drix stopped beside him again. You live your entire world through sound. Yes. You hear things most beings ignore. That helps. You heard my cybernetics the first night. They hum slightly. Most people hear them and become afraid. I thought it sounded expensive. Drix shook her head slowly. You truly have no idea what I look like. Only guesses. You imagine scars. That was logical. There are many. Most warriors have them. These are extensive. Well, Liam said, you should see my supervisor's handwriting. Drix almost smiled again. You compare battle scars to handwriting. I once spent 3 hours trying to read a maintenance report. That sounds unpleasant. It was. The station lights dimmed slightly as the night cycle deepened. Drix remained standing beside him. Human, yes? When you first spoke to me, you told me to move. Yes. You ordered me to step aside. I asked politely. You did not know who I was. I knew you were standing in my mop area. Drix crossed her arms again. Every soldier on this station knows my reputation. Reputations are visual things, Liam replied. Explain. People see the armor, the scars, the implants, and that frightens them. Exactly. You cannot see any of those things. Nope. Drix spoke more quietly now. So when you speak to me, I hear a person, nothing else. Just footsteps and a voice. The corridor hummed softly around them. Drix looked at him for a long moment. You once asked why I keep coming here. Yes. You said it was because you do not know what to fear. Correct. She shook her head slowly. That is not the only reason. Oh? You hear me differently. How so? You hear the parts others ignore. Liam considered that. Well, he said gently, your voice does something interesting. What? It changes when you stop trying to sound like a warship. Drix blinked. A warship? Yes. You think I sound like a warship. Sometimes. And the other times? Liam smiled faintly. The other times you sound like someone who just cleaned a corridor for the first time. For a moment, the feared commander of multiple star systems simply stood there. Then she laughed again, and the empty corridor of Aurelian Ring sounded a little less lonely. The corridor was quiet again. For a long time, no footsteps came. Liam pushed his cart slowly along the curved hallway, counting under his breath as usual. 298, 299, 300. He stopped the cart. Docking clamp 2 is late tonight, he murmured. The station hummed around him, the distant vibration of starships arriving and leaving, echoing faintly through the metal bones of Aurelian Ring. He dipped the mop into the bucket. For several nights now, the corridor had gained an unusual visitor. Someone with extremely heavy boots and a habit of laughing when she wasn't supposed to. Tonight, the hallway felt emptier. Liam said thoughtfully while mopping. Maybe the boots found a different corridor. The station lights flickered gently as a freighter entered the docking ring. Then the familiar sound arrived. Heavy footsteps. But this time the rhythm was different. Not as sharp, not as guarded. Liam tilted his head slightly and smiled. Ah, he said. The boots have returned. Commander Drix stopped beside him. You recognize my footsteps even when I walk differently. You're trying not to sound like a warship tonight. That comparison continues to offend me. It's an expensive warship, Liam replied. Drix stood quietly beside him for a moment. You noticed my delay. Yes. I had a meeting with the station council. That sounds painful. It was. They rarely invite janitors. Perhaps they should. They would regret it. Drix almost smiled. You might be correct. The mop slid across the floor again. After a moment, she spoke. I told them something unusual today. Oh? Yes. Liam wrung the mop slowly. That sounds dangerous. They asked about my deployment orders. And? I declined them. Liam paused. You declined military orders? Yes. That sounds extremely dangerous. They asked why. And what did you say? Drix looked down the long corridor. I told them I had learned something important on this station. That cleaning floors is difficult? That fear is a strange thing. Liam resumed mopping. That sounds philosophical. It is confusing. Most good ideas are. Drix crossed her arms loosely. For many years I believed fear was power. That's a common theory. I believed the scars, the armor, the cybernetics. They defined who I was. People like simple explanations. They see me and immediately decide what I must be. Liam nodded slightly. That happens a lot. But you never saw any of that. Nope. You only heard my voice. And your boots. Yes, the boots. The commander was quiet for a moment. For the first time in many years, someone met me without my reputation arriving first. Liam leaned on the mop handle. Well, he said gently, reputations are loud. And you ignore loud things. I work on a space station, Liam replied. If I reacted to every loud thing, I'd never get any cleaning done. Drix laughed softly. You make everything sound simple. It usually is. She looked at him again. When I first asked why you were not trembling, I believed you were brave. I'm not. I believed you were foolish. That's possible, but now I understand. Oh? You simply never saw the monster everyone else sees. Liam shrugged. Well, that makes conversations easier. The corridor hummed quietly around them. Drix stepped closer. Human. Yes? If you could see me now, do you think you would tremble? Liam thought for a moment. Honestly, yes. Well, he tapped the mop lightly against the floor. I'd probably notice the armor first. That seems likely. Then the scars. Yes. Then the extremely intimidating posture. That too. And after that, Liam said calmly, I'd probably hear you laugh. Drix was silent. And then I'd realize something. What? That the most terrifying warrior on the station spends her night standing in a corridor with a janitor. For a moment she said nothing. Then she laughed again. Not quietly, not carefully. Just a real laugh that echoed down the empty hallway. You are impossible. I've been told that. Drix looked at him one last time. You changed something in me, Liam. That sounds expensive. It is freeing. What will you do now? I will still command fleets. That seems responsible. But I will no longer let fear decide who I am. That sounds healthier. And when I return to this station, you'll check if the corridor is clean? I will visit the janitor who does not tremble. Liam smiled faintly. Well, he said, dipping the mop into the bucket again, someone has to keep these floors respectable. Commander Drix turned to leave. Her boots echoed down the corridor again. But this time the sound carried something different. Not intimidation, not reputation, just the steady footsteps of someone walking a little lighter than before. Liam listened until the sound faded. Then he nodded to himself. Nice boots, he said to the empty hallway. And the corridor of Aurelian Ring remained quiet, clean, and strangely warmer than it had ever been before.